Story time. I was admitted to the hospital on August 31st. I arrived around 4 o'clock to the ER, and I was given a room on the observation floor around 10 o'clock. Now, I have extreme issues with needles and IVs and sticks, and my veins just are gnarly little bastards that don't cooperate. So I always make it known, but when I'm in there, I'm a difficult stick and you're going to need to get the ultrasound. I won't let them touch me without the ultrasound machine because I have such a difficult history with IVs, and they blow on me and they infiltrate. And if you guys have ever had infiltration, you know how absolutely horrible that is. So I insist for the ultrasound machine, not the vein finder. I'm past vein finder. I need you to go get that deep tissue thing and handle your business that way. Now, having said that, they did that with the first IV I had in my right arm, and that blew within 4 hours. It was so painful, but they caught it. The nurse was actually in the room when it blew, so she was able to get it out rather quickly. So the pain was only for about maybe 2 days, and it wasn't as severe as it can get if once all that fluid gets up under your skin. It's the most painful thing. So I'm up in my room by 10-ish, and they make another attempt in my left forearm, and he hit a nerve with the ultrasound machine. He still hit a nerve. So I said, you got to go. Next. And it was 2:46 when the nurse came in, the third nurse came in, and she successfully got the IV in my upper inner left arm, which was an absolutely weird place. I don't think I've ever had one there before, although I have had one on the top of my foot because they couldn't find any other vein. That was incredibly painful. Now that's the setup. So after that, the IV is installed, I have a doctor come in sometime between 3 and 5. And he's talking to me, very nice gentleman, and going over my medical history and what's going on with me, and we're going to create a plan. This is what we're going to try to do, blah blah blah. Doctor talk. And he was just so very pleasant. And I don't remember his name. I don't remember that he introduced himself, but I'm sure he probably did, but I don't remember his name. After our little quick visit, he says, we exchanged goodbyes and all. And I say, you have a very soothing, calming voice. Thank you for coming to see me. He was just so pleasant. No worries. You have a good day and you feel better. Later on that afternoon, Dr. A comes in. And he goes over the same thing or whatever. And I'm like, okay, cool. So we have a plan of action. He was the admitting doctor. And, okay, we're going to go from here. But then later on, I'm like, well, who was the doctor that came in between the hours of 3 and 5? I asked the nurse, and I'm on observation still, and she's like, well, I don't know. They don't usually make rounds that early. So I really don't know who it was. And I described, she said, what was he wearing? I said, he was wearing all black scrubs. She said, oh, Dr. A wears all black. I said, it wasn't Dr. A. Dr. A had a completely physical body type as well as ethnicity as the other doctor that came to see me. And it was still dark outside. She says, well, doctors don't usually make rounds that early. I forget about it. The next shift or the next nurse, I tell them, well, who was so-and-so? And they're like, describe him. And I described them. And it's like, yeah, that doesn't ring a bell. We don't know who that is. I switched to, by this time, I'm now in inpatient. And I asked another nurse, who was that doctor? And I said, and this time I said, will you please go through my file and tell me what that doctor's name is? She looks and she says, okay, well, you got the IV at 2:46, and then Dr. A didn't come in until about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I said, no, there was a doctor that came in when it was still dark out. I described him to this third nurse, and she's looking, she's like, yeah, well, there's no record of another doctor being here or in your file. And then I started to think back, and I said, well, he was a very nice gentleman, but he didn't shake my hand. He didn't listen to my breathing. He didn't touch me in any way. He actually didn't even come close to me. He kind of stood by the door and was a little bit in the corner, but really relaxed and comfortable, not tense or anything, not standoffish, just kind of chit-chatting with me. And I said, well, this man never did touch me. He didn't come. Yo, was that an apparition? I literally had a conversation with someone who did not exist according to the medical staff. Now, sure, it could have been a psych patient or another patient that just slipped on some doctor scrubs that had a name tag and came in my room and chatted with me. Or was it something else? Now, I believe in that. I believe in spirits and energy and multiple planes of existence and ancestors and spirits and guides and all that. I believe in all of that. And I know what some of my gifts and talents are because I had a lot of activity while I was in that hospital. There was one incident, and I had to tell that spirit to knock that shit off because he kept going around and knocking on the walls. It was knocking on not the front door where you come into the room, never there, but always on the side and by the window, but not on the window, underneath it, on the wall. And it would flush the toilet. It would just randomly flush the toilet, just flush the toilet. And I said, you know what? If you have something to say, I need you to say it. But what you're going to have to do is knock this shit off because it's really getting on my nerve. It wasn't like it was it didn't feel malevolent or evil or anything. I didn't feel anything like that. I practice protection everywhere I go, especially in a hospital. All those energies and spirits and life and death and all that in between stuff that happens in the hospital, you really had to go into protective and coverage and prayer mode, whatever your form of spirituality or belief system is. You really need to be mindful of that when you go into certain spaces, especially hospitals. I wasn't afraid or anything at all. And the nurse came in one night because I had become the chatter of the nurses station that Luna saw a ghost. She had a ghost in her room or whatever, and they came in, the one nurse came in, she was like, why do you still have your light on? Are you scared? I said, no, I'm not scared. I'm on prednisone. I can't sleep. What's the point of turning off the lights? I'm doing videos and reading or whatever. I'm not afraid. So there's my story time, guys. What do you guys think about that? It was very interesting. Whoever he was there to calm me, to comfort me. And I feel okay. And I'm grateful that the universe took the time out to calm me and make me feel relaxed. So there's my story time. Peace, love, and blessings. Luna out.